I was already highlighting that the this keyword has its own head in JavaScript and that it's not always referring to the same thing. On the top level, it was referring to the global object, to the window object in the browser, and in an object, it was referring to this object. But a general rule of thumb could be this always refers to the left part of the dot which executes something where this is included. Now, I'm not sure if anyone was able to understand this, so let me show this example here. I have a function where I log this, and then I call this function. Now, I already did this before, so you probably know what we'll see now. The window object, of course, because this refers to the global object here, to the window in our browser. And since I'm calling function here directly in the highest possible level in my source code, this, well, still refers to this. Now I'll add a bit here. I'll add an object, and in this object, I set up a function which simply uses this function here. So it holds a reference to this function. I'll get rid of this function call here. What do you think we'll now see? Will we still see the window here? Now we see this object. So now this refers to this object. And this is what I meant with it refers to the thing on the left of the dot object here. We're calling this function, which of course refers to this function, which refers to this function here. And I could rename this to make this clearer. So ob function here, the function in the object. I'm just calling that. So I'll still see that here. So that's referring to that, which again has this value, which refers to this function. But this now is not referring to the global object, but instead to the part on the left of the dot, which is this object here. And this object is what calls this function. And that's a key thing to understand with this. It's not always referring to the same thing. It's referring to whatever calls something where this is used in. So whichever calls a function where this is used in. That is what this refers to. Now let's say I wanted to make sure that this still refers to the window object. Because here in this function I'm doing something with that window object. And I still want to do that if I use this function and object. I don't want this to point to the object. JavaScript has a solution built in since this often leads to problems. I can use bind on my function here, recognize that I removed the parentheses, and then I pass this here. With that, I'm telling JavaScript rebind this inside this object, and then here I pass to what I want to bind this. Now I admit it's a bit confusing because I'm passing this here, because I'm referring to the global object. If I now add parentheses here too, to execute this function, and I run this code, you again see the window. So I rebound this. And as this is a bit confusing with this being used here too, I'll demonstrate this with another object I'll quickly create. Name should be Max. And I bind to this object now. If I rerun the code, you see now this refers to this object with the name of Max. So with bind, I can pass whatever this here should refer to. That could be this to refer to the window. It could be person to refer to this person object. Or of course, I leave it out, and then again, it will refer to the part on the left of the dot object here.